So where do we draw the line then? What about the little kid that steals the candy bar at the cash register? Should he get his hand chopped off? The little 6-year-old? We're gonna just cut his
Get a
pinky off.
finger chopped off. Teach him a lesson. And
Really?
that
So we
lesson
should cut the
will
finger
stick with
off
him.
of a
That lesson will
child?
stick
Wait,
with him
hold on. I
throughout
want to
his
get this
whole life
straight,
when he
and I want to
grows
know that
up,
you're.
and he'll never forget that moment where he lost a finger due to his dumbass actions.
So you want to literally chop the fingers off of children if they steal a candy bar?
If it teaches them a lesson and then fucking sticks with them for the rest of their life and they don't do it again, it might be a good hard lesson.
Remember. Okay, Dark Admiral, what are you here to argue about?
Well, I do want to say what Derek Chauvin did, yes, it may have ended up killing him. But if you look at Floyd's history, he was in and out of prison throughout his whole life. And he's done nothing but harm black people. And I think that we didn't lose anyone when he died.
Why does it matter that he had a criminal past? Can you let me know why that matters?
Because Black Lives Matter, right? They're trying to protect black people and try to get black people to stop getting killed from police, right? When they're preaching about George Floyd. Mm-hmm. But yet, George Floyd's hurt way more black people than Derek Chauvin did.
Where? How did he hurt more black people?
By his crimes. In fact, in one of his crimes, he was arrested for holding a fucking pregnant woman at gunpoint.
Yes, I know. I've heard this one a million times. So, as far as the holding pregnant woman at gunpoint, could you answer this simple question? Did George Floyd go to prison for that?
I'm pretty sure he did. He served 8 years, I believe.
Okay, so do you think that if somebody has served 8 years in prison and justice has been served, that means that they are somehow they should be disregarded when they are killed in an unjustified manner?
I'm not trying to say it justifies him getting killed, but I'm saying that
you're making justifications right now. Yes, you are.
No, I'm saying the outrage that happened after that, like about a good black person was killed.
That's not what they said. Nobody said that. So first and foremost, nobody said, a good black person was killed. Okay. Second of all, do you know why George Floyd was even in Minnesota where he was killed?
Why?
Because he went there with a church group to try and continue bettering his life. He also had children. He committed a crime back in 2005 or 2006, which was the armed robbery. He served nearly 10 years in prison, so justice has been served. I don't know what more you want. At this point, you're talking about somebody who committed a crime, went to prison, and you're still holding that crime against them. At what point are they allowed to move on from that?
Well, I mean, you gotta think, when you're trying to aim a gun at an unborn baby, there's
no evidence that he ever actually pointed the gun at a pregnant woman. There's only evidence. There's only evidence that he committed an armed robbery. So how long until you're able to move on from that?
I would say the same thing for any white guy, by the way. They're willing to fucking aim a gun at a baby, fucking throw him away and lock away the key. Get him away from society.
Wait, no. This is just patently false right now. So he went to prison for that crime.
Yeah,
and so justice was, he went to prison for 8 years. I don't know about you, but 8 years in prison would be a pretty long time, considering it was an armed robbery where nobody even died. So there's that. I'm wondering, according to you, how long until they are able to move on from that? Do you think that people who've committed robberies, armed robberies, should just forever be guilty? Should forever be treated like social outcasts?
I believe that they should be able to move on when they prove that they're not going to be a repeat offender. Because most people that get out of prison, they're mostly repeat offenders.
I don't care about most people. We're talking about Floyd.
History, he's been in and out of prison even after he got released from that armed robbery.
Yeah, and some of the reasons he went back to prison was for like drug use. It was nothing that harmed another person. So you realize that whether this person has been in and out of prison their whole life, whether they are an absolute saint, is completely irrelevant. For Black Lives Matter to flare up and take issue with the George Floyd situation is 100 million% justified, because this isn't an issue about a perfect good man who was killed. It's an issue that here is a black man who was slaughtered by the state before he had his constitutional rights enacted of being put in front of a jury, and that's not okay. This is why I consistently say, I don't care if George Floyd is a fucking rapist. I don't care if George Floyd raped somebody the day before he was killed. You, as the police officer, do not have the right to be the judge, jury, and the executioner. Your job is to apprehend that person and bring them before the court of law. If that didn't happen, that is a violation of the Constitution. Justice wasn't served, and that's the problem.
And I agree, justice was not served because of the fact he was killed. I do believe he should have been arrested, but from what I hear, he was kicking the back of the car seat. He was putting up a struggle even when he was apprehended. And you know what? I do believe that cop probably fucking wanted
Dude, you're
to
just making up so many dumb excuses right now. We
I'm not
know
making up
that he was
excuses at
kicking
all.
the seat or whatever. None of that is
No,
justification for
listen,
him to
I'm not
be
making
dead.
excuses for him getting killed.
No. You say you're not, but you literally, by definition, are. You're now trying to say, well, he wasn't complying, bruh. Okay, he was complying when Chauvin had the knee on his neck for nearly 10 minutes. They had him apprehended on the ground in handcuffs. He had been apprehended. There was no
Yeah,
reason
he
to
was
hold the knee
apprehended.
on his neck the way in which they did.
What I'm saying is, cops. There are some bad ones and there are some good ones. And if you get unlucky and you piss off a bad cop, and especially if you're deciding to scream in the backseat, kick in the backseat and shit, you might end up getting killed from that corrupt officer, and you brought that on yourself. And the
No,
cop, the
no. Are
cop
you
should be
okay? Oh my
arrested
God.
too.
Are you here to troll? Are you like a child?
I'm being honest.
No.
If you piss off a
If
corrupt
you piss
officer,
off a cop and then that cop is a bad cop who kills you, that's not the fault of the person that pissed off the
I'm not saying
cop.
it's the fault
This is
of George Floyd, but I'm
you
saying
just said that was on them. You just said that was on
it
them.
is. I'm saying some of it's on them for pissing the cop off. If he would
No,
have fucking
you're
waited till he
wrong.
got to the
You're
police
wrong.
station
You're
before he started
wrong.
doing his shit.
This
Where's
is
more witnesses
incorrect.
and more of the
Why in the
cops.
fucking world are you making it so that the untrained citizen has some major responsibility to comply and not piss off the bad cop, but yet the trained agent of the state, we're just going to let that slide? No, it's on the agent of the state who is trained to deal with these situations to not get pissed off by somebody not complying and then reacting in a way that ends in the death of that person.
Well, we don't have a perfect state, and there's always going to be bad cops. So I'm just saying, for perspective, you know, for your own fucking survival, make sure you don't fucking end up, being like that chick that got hit by a train from a cop. Leaving her
I
in the
don't know
car.
even how to respond to this. I think that you might be like a little kid.
No, I'm not. I'm actually 21, and I do believe that a lot of the stuff that happens to guys like George Floyd is brought on by them.
So
from the little circumstances they do,
what were the
escalate to that
circumstances?
point.
How did Floyd bring that onto himself, please?
Well, for one, if he's gonna be screaming like a lunatic and kicking the backseat of the car, right, and then the cops, right, want to go fucking try to restrain him again to stop, right, even though they shouldn't have, they should have just said fuck it. Then, if he wouldn't have done that, the cop would have never kneeled on him. He would have never felt the need to drag him out the car, and kneel on him.
Okay. So do you understand why people would say that what you're doing right now is victim blaming? In a perfect world, would George Floyd have reacted in the panicked and manic way in which he did? Of course not. However, it is the job of the state, the state agent who is trained to manage these situations, to react accordingly. They are trained. They have an understanding that not everybody you apprehend is going to be the nice, friendly little walk in the park that just cooperates and does everything that possible to make you as the police officer happy. That's not how the world works. And officers are trained with that knowledge. So the fact that George Floyd was kicking the seat or acting rowdy, okay, so fucking what? That was by no means was it warranted to then kneel on his neck for nearly 10 minutes until he was dead. That's not warranted.
I know it's not warranted, but like I said, it's not a perfect world. It's just like you said. And the cop right then and there, because the fact he was arresting him over some fucking dumb shit anyway, right, is obviously not going to be your average cop that's looking for your best interest. And you did that anyway?
How is how is Floyd supposed to know that the cop is not looking out for his best interests?
The fact he's trying to arrest him over some fucking hearsay fake dollar bill shit.
Well, first of all, that's how arrests usually work. It is usually starts out with hearsay, and then they arrest the person or apprehend the person and question them, and then they further investigate. So that's just how that works. So if they get a call that somebody was acting a bit shady and used a counterfeit $20 bill, and the cops go to apprehend that person, it is on the cops to act accordingly, regardless of how the person they are trying to arrest is behaving. Again, You should comply with the police. Yes, it is a bad idea to not comply with police. Also, yes, but you're ignoring the power dynamic here. One is an agent of the state who has a weapon, who is trained and should have an understanding as to how to handle these situations. The other is a random fucking citizen. Like, you just brought up that he's been in and out of prison. Maybe, just maybe, George Floyd, because of his past, is a little bit jumpy around the police. You know? Who knows? But again, it's not on Floyd to act perfect because he's not the one who is trained and paid to act a certain way in these types of escalating situations. It's on the cop.
I think he was jumpy around the police mainly due to the fact of the narrative perpetuated in the black community, raising kids, them telling the kids to fear the cops, never trust the cops, and all that. And after
Maybe
a while,
that was warranted. You know, look what happened with Floyd.
well, maybe, but then you have cases like where cops are in the right, and then they're using that as a way to try to plaster the cop as a bad guy, like with Micaiah Brown, and
Okay.
then you have
Like kind of like what you're doing, where George Floyd was
unwarranted.
just somebody who had not been proven guilty whatsoever, and then was killed. And now people like you come over here to be like, well, you know, he had a criminal past, right, herder? What about that? What about where you try to slander the names of dead black men because you don't want to just face the fact that he was unjustifiably killed? And this is also a problem more so in the black community because statistically and per capita, this happens to black people more than it happens to white people.
Actually, there's a lot more shit that happens to white people, and it's been statistically proven by the FBI.
Wait.
It's just that you don't see it on TV as
No,
much because
you're
it
wrong
doesn't generate
again.
clicks.
This is why it's per capita. Yes, yearly averages of people that die by the hands of the police are obviously going to be white people because there's way more white people in the country. Per capita, however, black people are dying disproportionately at the hands of the police or being roughed up disproportionately at the hands of the police.
And don't you think that could be because a lot of them like to resist and shit because of the fact they're being taught that they shouldn't trust cops?
You're
And
just
they should always flee
this
from
is
cops?
so adorable. Like, even if you were right with that like I already said that, yeah, you shouldn't resist arrest, but like, why are you so quick to just make excuses for the officer? Do you think that maybe the officers have a bit of a problem with roughing people up too quickly?
Because I'm willing to accept the lesser evil than the drastic extreme to defunding the police.
Okay, I'm not in favor of defunding the police, nor does acknowledging the tragedy that took place with George Floyd encompass defunding the police. So that has nothing to do with anything.
No,
That's a
I
red
do acknowledge
herring.
what happened with George Floyd.
Second of
It's
all,
just that
no,
a
the
lot of
greater
people-
sacrifice is let's just give a pass when the fucking state roughs somebody up or kills somebody unjustifiably because, well, they shouldn't have been resisting arrest, bro. Again, it's on the cops to behave accordingly.
Yeah,
they
the
cannot
cops
they
can do
cannot
what they-
expect all citizens to act a certain way.
Yeah, but the cops get to do what they want either way. You think that you ever see the Derek Chauvin's the only case I've seen where a cop was actually reprimanded for the fucked up shit he done because he got caught on camera.
Because that's a problem. You realize how many cops have unjustifiably killed people and they don't actually face any repercussions, at least according to the law?
I accepted reality that there's nothing we as citizens are ever going to be able to do about it. There's never going to be a
Oh my
scenario where it
god,
doesn't
you're
result
so
in funding the
stupid.
police.
I don't want to believe that you are even a real fucking human being. Are you like an AI? Am I arguing with an AI right now? Are you a bot? My dude, that is not true. So steps have already been taken to try and reform the police. And sure, they haven't all been that great. Sure, there's still a lot of problems, but you are at this point advocating for just complacency with a system that is clearly broken. That's not how this works, and that's not how the world becomes a better place. It's not just, well, let's shrug our shoulders and, well, the cops are kind of bad and there's nothing we can do about it. There is stuff we can do about. For example, I don't know, tens of millions of Americans protesting the unjustified killing of a black man at the hands of police, even though he had not even been proven guilty and had never been brought before the court of law. Maybe that's something you could do.
Then, yeah, you could do that, and that's what happened.
Cool, so you're on the side of
then
BLM
again-
then, so you agree with what BLM did.
I don't agree what a lot of them did with the rioting and the looting and just using a dead black man as a way for excuse for them to break the law
That's
and
not what I
take it out
asked.
on
I asked if
innocent
you're in favor
bystanders.
of, no, are you in favor of what BLM did so far as Americans protesting, not rioting and not looting?
Peacefully, yeah, I'm in favor of them protesting peacefully as long, and also as long as they address and acknowledge that it's not just cops that hurt black people, it's their own community too.
So again, now you're dipping into the issues with systemic racism, and this is all a issue in and of itself. This is why cops disproportionately rough up or kill black people, is because cops are disproportionately in those locations because of the disproportionate crime rates, because of the disproportionate rates of poverty, which is due to racist historical policies. So there is a massive problem here. There is a broken system. It's called systemic racism, and that is what BLM is ultimately trying to address. By addressing systemic racism, you are simultaneously addressing the problem with the higher rates of violence and crime in the black community as well.
Now, systemic racism and poverty. Are you saying that because they're black, right? They have a higher chance to be in poverty because of the history?
Um, I mean, black people are disproportionately in poverty, so yes.
So, what about saying white people are more likely to be middle class then?
I would think so. I would have to look up
So,
stats directly, but I mean,
because I can tell you, there's a lot of white people in trailer parks and shit like that too.
I know. But the reason that white people are, or some white people are poor and in trailer parks is not due to a historical and systemic issue.
And since you want to bring up systemic issues, right? What about the sense of, the Irish people were enslaved back in the day too? Do they have systemic racism in the UK
No,
against the Irish people?
because policies were not put in place nearly to the same extent to keep Irish people down the same way that American policies were put in place to keep black people down. Considering there was slavery, then there was Jim Crow, then there was redlining, then there was the drug war. These issues go on and on and on throughout decades. The situation that black people are in right now is unique because of the previous historical racist policies. So you're hitting on all the stereotypes right now. You're pulling the "he was no angel" card, which is fucking irrelevant. You're pulling the "oh, well, white people are poor too," which is fucking irrelevant. And now you're pulling the "well, what about the Irish people who were enslaved, herder," which is also fucking irrelevant. You don't know what you're talking about. You're coming on here and you're making a fool of yourself in front of everybody.
George Floyd, and you know what? I say this for every criminal, by the way. If any criminal that wants to break the law, I think that we are too lenient in this country on criminals.
So do you think
In
anybody
fact,
that breaks the law should just be killed by the cops?
well, no, I think that, for example, if you steal something, you should get a finger chopped off. Steal again, get your whole hand chopped off, like Sharia law.
So not only are you stupid, you're also like a barbarian.
Well, tell me, the countries that have Sharia law, do you see many criminals in those countries doing thieving and shit like that?
I don't know, and that would be irrelevant because, again, that would be a violation of the Constitution. That would be considered cruel and unusual punishment, which is a violation of the Constitution.
Maybe it's time to change the Constitution.
Okay, so either you're anti-American or you're going to admit that that's a dumb fuck idea. So where do we draw the line then? What about the little kid that steals the candy bar at the cash register? Should he get his hand chopped off? The little 6-year-old? We're gonna just cut his pinky off.
Get a finger chopped off. Teach him a lesson. And
really? So we should cut the finger off of a child? Wait, hold on. I want to get this straight, and I want to know that you're.
And he'll never forget that moment where he lost a finger due to his dumbass actions.
So you want to literally chop the fingers off of children if they steal a candy bar?
If it teaches them a lesson and then fucking sticks with them for the rest of their life and they don't do it again, it might be a good hard lesson.
Remember a minute ago when we were talking about how you're giving excuses for the police, and you said, well, I would rather live, I don't want to live in the worst type of a world, or I don't actually remember exactly what you said.
I don't say I want to live in the worst type of world. I said I accept the fact that the police get to do what they want, and that we, as citizens against the government, unless we stand together, won't be able to do shit.
Okay, but your position here is cut the fingers off of children who steal a candy bar. What do you think is worth more? A child's mental well-being, which would be destroyed if you fucking cut their limbs off, or the 75-cent Snickers bar at the register? Do you really think that if you steal a 75-cent Snickers bar, you should have your fingers chopped off?
I honestly,
Are
I
you a troll?
believe. No, I'm not trolling because I believe that our country is dipping towards the fact that criminals are now going to have more rights than we citizens do. Like if someone breaks in your house, and like for example, the liberal states, you have a duty to retreat if someone breaks in your house.
So
How is
we
that
answer. Wait, wait,
fucking?
wait. So because you have a duty to retreat,
Why can't?
the
Why
way
is
we
it wrong to
fix this is
protect
by
what you
chopping
own?
fingers off of people who steal. Am I hearing this correctly?
No, I'm saying if the government's not going to punish criminals, maybe it's about time we fucking citizens do.
Okay, so you don't even think this should be done by the government. You think that if we accuse little Timmy of stealing the candy bar,
No,
the
no, I'm not
local
saying.
community should
Listen,
round up
listen.
the
I'm not going to
child
say
and then
this that
cut
where
his
oh, if
hands
someone
off with
accuses
maybe a
someone.
saw?
Hold on, I'm not going to say this like oh, someone accuses someone instantly chop the finger off. No, you're going to look into it and look at the facts and the evidence. And if the evidence
Who?
shows that
Who
he
looks at the
definitely
facts and the
100% did
evidence?
it, who looks at the facts and the evidence?
Yeah.
Someone who's a fucking community leader in that said community.
So what you're talking about right now is basically going to take us back to the time where black people would be accused of raping white women and then they would get lynched without due process. That is the type of world that you are advocating for. That would be the end result of what you're advocating for right now.
Not if it's done properly and not done by racists.
Right, okay. So the leader of the community, whoever the fuck that is, gets to decide whether or not
Not just him. It'll not be just one leader of the community. It'll be like a whole let's say like a fucking board, right? Like a board of the community members.
What
There's multiple
about
people and they vote like a jury.
Okay, so what about the idea of you take members of the community, and then you have them sort of sit in these seats and they hear out two different sides, the defense and then the accusation, and then they get to vote at the end as to whether or not they believe that person is guilty or innocent.
That's what I'm advocating for.
That's
And
called a jury, you fucking
that's why I
retard.
said jury.
This I try
Like
not
a
to say
jury.
retard anymore, but you have forced my hand, my friend. You are retarded. You're over here advocating to chop the fingers off of children if they steal candy bars, and now you're saying,
Listen,
well, we should have a jury,
tell
but
me,
it
if
shouldn't
the
be a
government
jury.
is delving to the point to where they're making it to where people who murder people, like in Milwaukee, for example, Kenneth Tywin, he murdered two people and he was let out on bail.
Well, you're
First time
murdering
he killed
several of
someone,
my brain cells. There's like a
seven
brain
thousand
cell
dollars, seven
holocaust
thousand
going on
dollars
right now
worth
in
of a
my head,
fucking
thanks
human
to
life.
you.
He was let out on bail. You know what he did? He killed again. So the bail system is allowing criminals to harm more innocent civilians
So
who
what you're
are
doing right now is
law-abiding
called a Mott and
citizens.
Bailey. So what you're doing right now is called a Mott and Bailey, where first you are positing forward a less extreme or less extreme position to mask your far more extreme position. Your less extreme position is something needs to change with the legal system so that criminals who are still dangerous aren't released when they're still a danger to the general public. That's your Mott, okay? But your Bailey is the way we do that is by chopping off limbs of people who commit crimes, even if it's petty theft.
Hey, I'm saying that's a solution. If the government doesn't want to do something about it, maybe it's time us citizens start standing up for ourselves.
So what's going to
Because
happen when somebody accuses you of stealing and then there's no
if I
evidence,
actually
but the
stole, I'll
leader of
say,
the
you know what?
community...
You can
Well,
chop
hold on,
my
wait.
whole fucking hand off if I actually stole something.
So wait, hold on. What's going to happen if you get accused of stealing something? There's not really a lot of evidence, but the local leader of the community knows that you have a history of thievery, so they decide that you're probably guilty, and the community rounds you up and then hacks your hand off with a saw. How would you feel about that?
You know what? With there, okay. With the solution I presented, are there flaws to it? Yes, many flaws.
Yes, are there flaws of chopping fingers off of children? Yeah, I'd say so, probably, yeah.
But the government isn't going to protect us, law-abiding citizens. What else is there to do against these criminals?
Maybe push for better policies, vote, protest.
Even if you
Maybe
vote,
something
and
that doesn't
after
involve
voting and
taking a
voting, it's still
chainsaw.
happening.
No, wait, maybe we don't go Texas Chainsaw Massacre on a 6-year-old because they stole a Butterfingers. Crazy, I know. Super hot take on my end here. But yeah, there are lots of things you can do to change this. You can engage in activism. You can protest. You can vote. You can call your local legislatures.
Let me make this clear. Am I saying I'm gonna do this? No, I'm not saying I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna fucking try to make myself out as like, oh, I'm a potential threat. No. In case any of your viewers try fucking swatting me.
I surely hope that you're You don't have any weapons at your house, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, good. That's good. Because, I mean, I don't know what would happen if one day you, like, decided that your little brother stole your PS4 or something, you know? You find him beheaded or something, and, well, somebody had to do something. At this point, I think you're probably a troll. Either that
No, I'm
or
actually
there's some
not.
kind
I'm
of a
being dead
conspiracy going
serious.
on in which I paid you to come on here and try to make me look good or something. But you're actually, like, insane. You are an insane person. The fact that you would make excuses to try and justify George Floyd's death when everybody knows, based on the evidence presented, that the way he was killed was unjustified, his criminal past is irrelevant, because according to the Constitution, you have a right to be brought in front of a jury of your peers for your innocence or your guilt to be determined. The agents of the state do not have the right to be the judge, jury, and the executioner. And on top of this, you have a problem with letting criminals go, quote unquote, and your solution is chopping off limbs like a fucking radical Muslim straight out of Iran.
You don't see much crimes in those Muslims country, though, do you?
Well, we're witnessing crimes right here live on air. Like I said a minute ago, you are holocausting my brain cells, so I might have to permanently ban you for the sake of my own sanity, and because I try not to say the R word, but you forced my hand.
I mean, come on. If the government's not going to protect
Fuck you, cock. Oh, wait, I forgot to mention something. Hey, Dark Admiral, sorry, I forgot to mention something. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot to mention one other thing before I drop your dumbass. Actually, it's been demonstrated repeatedly, according to criminologists, that having harsh, even barbaric punishments does not actually deter crime. Not at
It
all.
should have fixed that George Floyd, now, didn't it?
And there we go. And then the mask goes off. Okay. I don't think that guy was a troll. Genuinely, there are people that are that stupid. There really are people that dumb. Oh, you're right. He said a slur. You know what, chat? Good point. He said a slur. We have to cut his tongue off. That is I can't believe I missed that. Yup. He said a slur, guys. Let's get the local community together. I'll get the chainsaw and we are going to have to hack this fucker's tongue off.